Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second part of this week's Gorilla Viewpoint. This time we're looking at the AEW Full Gear event, which is taking place this Saturday. It has currently 8 matches, including one on the pre-show. I'll hand over, of course, to our AEW correspondent, Champagne Charlie. We are joined, of course, as well by Jazzy Josh Porter at the bottom of the screen, too. But anyway, over to you, Charlie. What have you got for us?
So yeah, Full Gear. I'm really hyped up about this. I think it's going to be a great card, and I think it has a potential. 2 matches in particular have the potential to be show stealers, but I'll get to that in a bit. We start with the buy-in, which the buy-in match is Orange Cassidy versus John Silver of the Dark Order. Pretty straightforward match. It's not something to be hyped up about, but a lot of people have been very impressed with Orange Cassidy as of late. So I think I know where this is going to go, but what do you guys think of this buy-in match?
I think it's one-sided, very one-sided. I think and to be fair, it's quite out of the blue. There's no real
Build-up
rivalry here. Like, Orange Cassidy hasn't really had a rivalry with the Dark Order. He's been too busy with the Inner Circle. John Silver and his partner, is it Alex Reynolds?
Yeah, Alex Reynolds got knocked the fuck out.
Oh, yeah.
Week, so,
they seem to be like the jobbers of the Dark Order, so I'm going to give it to Orange Cassidy with this one.
Yeah, I find this baffling, though, because we would have thought after Cassidy had his Mimosa match last month that he'd at least make it onto the main card. And I think maybe as well, they know obviously Cassidy is quite popular, and so they're going to entice people to obviously come and watch him for free, and then say all the other stuff that's coming up. But I do find it an odd choice having someone who was on a featured match last month, or last pay-per-view All Out.
In like a massive rivalry.
On the pre-show. But, it's what happens. But, yeah, Orange Cassidy would be my prediction because, they are the jobbers.
I think this is a bit of a backward step for Orange Cassidy. As I said, from coming off that huge rivalry with Chris Jericho, and then the last couple of matches he's had with Cody and Brody Lee, respectively, for the TNT Championship, to come from that to be then being booked on the pre-show of Full Gear is a bit of a backward step. But because of how impressive he's been, I'm still going to give it to Orange Cassidy. So the next on the list is Chris Jericho versus Maxwell Jacob Friedman MJF, where if MJF wins, he is allowed to join the Inner Circle. And they've been teasing this for quite a while. I kind of saw this one coming. But so what do we think of this one?
This is awful booking. And the reason why it's awful booking is because this match is money, but not now. Not just because of no fans, but this stipulation is just frustrating. Because why would you put MJF in the Inner Circle? The belief would be that MJF would get into the Inner Circle and would then look to obviously feud with Jericho later down the line. But I think this is a very weird way of doing it. And they've kind of played it off as like a jokey kind of thing for now. And I guess while they could ramp it up in the coming months, I think that this is a bit of a daft decision. And I don't get why it's been booked. In terms of who I think is going to win, though, Jericho, he lost to Cassidy, didn't he? Last one.
Yeah.
And so, but this would be very odd because MJF didn't lose. So I'm going to have to go for a draw or something. They have to do something. I can't see this match ending decisively. So I'm going to go... Yeah, I'm going to say no contest.
What? I just can't see a reason for MJF to be in the Inner Circle. He's been doing really well on his own, unless this is going to come out as some massive scheme of his to say he knew he couldn't defeat Chris Jericho with the Inner Circle tailing, so maybe he's going into the Inner Circle and dismantling it from the inside out.
But isn't that a face thing to do, though?
Which is the only reason why I'm iffing and I'm in an iron about it, because what is the point? I just don't understand. I'm going to go no contest as well, and even if I'm wrong, I don't care. I don't care about this match, if I'm honest.
I think in this match, I don't think MJF will join the Inner Circle at all, because I think this is just something to try and trick people. And when a few weeks ago, when MJF said in order to get anywhere in this company, you basically need to be part of a faction. I think this is just something to string Jericho along with, but I think this is some sort of trap. And I think there's a few people who might show up to help MJF get the win, because MJF was in a stable before he was in AEW. MJF, when he was in MLW, was part of a stable called the Dynasty, and his stablemates were some really impressive athletes. There was Alexander Hammerstone, Richard Holiday, and Gino Mendina. You add those three to MJF, plus the new addition of Wardlow as well. It evens it up 5-5, against the Inner Circle.
This is true. Maybe there's the potential of this big rivalry between
big gang
Dynasty.
warfare, that kind of thing. I think that's what will happen, and it will allow MJF to get the win. Next, we have a match for the AEW Women's Championship. Hikaru Shida defending the title against Nyla Rose. And in Nyla Rose's corner will be Vicky Guerrero.
Didn't Shida beat Nyla Rose for the belt?
She did. This was back at, I think it was Double or Nothing.
Must have been, yeah. See, this is why it's a bit tricky, because, we spoke in part one of this week about, obviously, the women's divisions in AEW and Impact not being as strong as they could be. And this is another example here where it's a bit like, well, we're just going back to a program that's been done before. But usually when they do this, it's for one or two reasons. It's number one, because they are completely out of ideas, or number two, because they want to correct a decision that they felt was wrong. I feel that it probably leads more to number two, that they just they felt that Nyla Rose should have got a longer reign perhaps, and so they want to revisit it this time. It's a kind of a lazy way of doing it. So I will pick Nyla Rose to win.
I'm going to agree and say Nyla Rose. I think with Guerrero in her corner, there's got to be some form of shenanigans going on, especially considering Shida's already beaten Nyla Rose. Maybe Nyla Rose is going to overcome the odds this time.
It's also worth noting that it will be 15 years since Eddie passed very soon. I think it's next week, isn't it?
Yeah. My biggest concern is that AEW have this massive women's roster and they're using the same three people. Two people.
I'm going to agree with both of you on this. As much as I am a big fan of Hikaru Shida, and she's incredible at what she does, I think, with the addition of Vicky Guerrero in the corner of Nyla Rose, I think Nyla Rose will win the championship. Even more so now that you mentioned that Eddie Guerrero fact there. So now this one is going to be very, very, very interesting. The Elite Deletion match. Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara.
Right. So
this has to be one of those kind of cinematic styles, just by the title alone. So
it has to be. And obviously this follows on from the Final Deletion and Ultimate Deletion, I believe. One of them was
exactly. So
one of them was in WWE.
Would it take place at the Hardy compound?
Obviously, WWE, they buried this gimmick a lot and really didn't want to do anything with it.
No.
Thing is, it is at the end of
it. They were trying to push Matt Hardy backstage to do like agent work, that kind of thing. So
yeah, I do think that this gimmick, this world, is kind of at its end now, though, and I think that given what happened with
to end it.
Yeah, given what happened as well at the last event with that stupid bump. I don't know what on earth went through his mind during that bump. Total shit show. But in terms of this month, I think it's time that Matt Hardy and the broken character fucks off. And I think Sammy Guevara needs to have a win, a defining win on AEW of his own that's not as part of the Inner Circle. I think he needs a defining moment. And if this is it, this is cool, and it will kind of all make it worth it. I mean, bless Matt Hardy. In terms of his AEW run, it's been a bit hit and miss. And obviously having the debut,
I don't think it went as well as people were planning. So
yeah, and obviously this match was meant to happen with Jericho in it, wasn't it? But I guess they couldn't because of the pandemic at the time.
And then that whole blood and guts thing was supposed to happen earlier this year.
Yeah. A lot of stuff that he's had been pulled. But yeah, I think Sammy Guevara.
Jazzy Josh, what do you reckon?
My biggest issue is after that bump with Matt Hardy and the last few matches he's had, I'm starting to think that he's just not where he used to be. I think it's getting to the point where he needs to retire, and I honestly think Sammy Guevara should be the one to retire him in this Elite Deletion match. Let's be honest, Jeff Hardy is definitely aged better in ring than Matt Hardy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree for now anyway. But Matt can bring it back.
Yeah.
I don't think he should retire, just to clarify.
Potentially.
Yeah.
I think he should retire this silly gimmick. I think he's had a good run with it, like 5 years, I think, since he started the whole Broken Universe, and he's taken it through that.
Let's be honest.
Which is...
The Broken gimmick peaked where it started in Impact Wrestling.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. But it's still very unique that he's taken that same gimmick, through 3 promotions, and only Matt Hardy would have really pulled that off the way that he's pulled it off.
Yeah.
It
seems to be agreeing on a lot of stuff this evening, because I also think that Sammy Guevara is going to take this. Sammy Guevara earlier this year did fuck up with the comments that he made, but they forgave him for it, and since that, they've still... It goes to show that AEW do believe in his abilities. Eventually, I do believe, even though he's part of the inner circle, I do believe he'll eventually become one of their future standout stars. You know what I mean? Because he's young, he's athletic, and the stuff he can do is unbelievable. So they need to give him something like a launching pad here. And I think, to have a win over someone as established as Matt Hardy is the best way to go about it. And because this is supposed to be an Elite Deletion, I think this gives Matt Hardy one last chance to do all those gimmicks if it's a cinematic style match as a final goodbye to all of that kind of thing. So I think Sammy Guevara to get the win in this match.
But I think from here Sammy Guevara wins against Matt Hardy and goes on to win the TNT title at some point within the next 6 months.
That would make sense. Speaking of which, next match is the TNT title. Cody with Arn Anderson in his corner, defending the title against Darby Allin.
See, the obvious answer here is that Cody retains. And that's for many reasons. It's a TV belt, so I think it'd be silly if it changes hands on a non-TV show. Cody only won it back as well. So which usually would signify that this kind of feud now this match now isn't where he's going to lose it. He'll lose it further down the line, most likely. So I'm going to go with Cody. Yeah, I'm going to go with Cody. But I do just fear that obviously Darby Allin should have won this belt. I
think so.
And
if not now, then it has to be soon.
But I think Cody winning now is all I can really see, weirdly. As much as it's such... I really like Darby Allin. I think he's standouts in AEW. Like new talents, anyway.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, no, the more I think about it, the more I think Cody has only just got it back, so it would be completely pointless for him to lose it straight away, especially considering he's come back from like a major injury and kind of had this big run with the title. Even though it's been a short one so far, it's been a big run. Obviously, he's defeated Mr. Brody Lee, and he's had fantastic matches since then. Would it not just be completely pointless to take it off of him and give it to Darby now? Would it not be better for him to have a 5-star match with Darby, and then at a next pay-per-view have another 5-star match with Darby, and then drop it to him? Darby loses, but he looks good losing.
But they've already faced as well, haven't they? Was it last year? One of the Fight for the 4 and the Fight Fest from the 2.
Yeah, but that wasn't for a title. That was
that was Darby Allin's first appearance as well. So.
Yeah,
then they had a rematch at the first Dynamite of this year. So
Cody won that.
Yeah, but I think if they have Darby lose, but have him lose well, so he looks good, then have a rematch for the title, and then Darby wins it.
But haven't we seen this? He lost well to John Moxley. He lost and lost well to Cody before. He's lost well to other people. It's like, how many times are you going to do this without the ultimate payoff of you're going to get a big win over someone now,
I think this will be the last one, like the last loss for him for a title.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what, before I get to my prediction, here's what I've heard. This is the rumor that's going around right now. WWE has pulled things like your merchandise. Early this week, last Dynamite, and this has been happening for a while, Cody, even though he's a face, he's been showing a lot of heel tendencies, when he's defended the TNT title, the anger, working on certain body parts, that kind of thing. And then to top it off, Arn Anderson got involved when no one was looking. He punched Orange Cassidy, and helped Cody get the win. And Darby Allin's been doing a lot of Sting-like stuff. He's been hanging out in the stalls, watching the TNT matches recently, kind of like what Sting used to do with the rafters.
Mm.
And because Arn Anderson's going to be in the corner, and then there was that whole getting involved last week, the rumor is that Sting is going to show up and be in the corner of Darby Allin. Whether this is a full-time thing or just a one-off, I don't know. But like I said, it's just a rumor. It's not confirmed yet. But that's the rumor that's going on.
My biggest issue with these kinds of rumors is WWE will pull someone's merch and everyone will be like, oh my God, they're AEW bound or they're Impact bound. It's like, no, that's not the case. Their merch just clearly wasn't selling as well as it used to. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that they've done something. It just means that their merch needs changing or just isn't good enough anymore. But
anyway, in absence of that happening, it's going to be one hell of a match either way. But the only problem I have, as much as I'd love to see Darby Allin win that title, he still has unfinished business with Team Taz. Ricky Starks and Brian Cage, that kind of thing. He's been having that feud with them for the last couple of months now, and they've not really, finished it. So I think there's going to be some sort of interference of some hand, which costs Darby Allin the chat. I think he'll just get to that point where it looks like he's about to win it. That'll happen. Screw him over, and some sort of roll up at the last minute, gets Cody the win just by the skin of his teeth.
I don't see Sting appearing. If he does, I'm hoping that. But I love Sting, by the way. But I think if he does get involved, all I'm just hoping is that, because AEW Respect haven't really done these appearances the best, I feel, and that I hope that he doesn't just come across as like a joke, or he's not going to be used for like a one-off kind of sight gag. Because he is literally one of the best world champions that ever been in wrestling. So there needs to be something big for him. That was the case. You would have thought they would have announced it as well. Is he someone? Surely he's somebody you would announce, I'm guessing.
Yeah, you think, because then it's something that people will actually buy the pay-per-view for.
Yeah, I suppose. Moving on from one title to another, we have the tag team titles. FTR, along with Tully Blanchard in their corner, defending the tag team titles against the Young Bucks. And here's the stipulation. The Young Bucks have declared that if they do not win the titles, they'll never challenge for them again.
Okay, so they're doing Cody from last year.
Kind of, yes.
That's made this really, really annoying when they do this stipulation, because they've got two things to do now. They either, number one, they give the belts to the Young Bucks because they've made this stupid stipulation, and then the Young Bucks and FTR, bounce belts back and forth, or they have FTR win and then they've got to find another tag team. Oh, I hate when we do stuff like this. I hate this, in any company. Thing is, I had FTR coming into the match. Some has a FTR still. So yeah, FTR to retain.
I don't see anywhere. Like you said, it's stupid. Why would you do a match of this caliber with a stipulation of that caliber with a tag team like the Young Bucks? If it was like Best Friends or something, it's like, yeah, go for it. The Best Friends aren't as big as the Young Bucks, and I don't think they ever will be. No disrespect to the Best Friends, but the Young Bucks just have that thing where they're just more popular than everyone else for no reason. I'm going to go with Young Bucks on this purely because of that stupid stipulation.
Okay, here's what I think. Now, obviously, this is a match that people have been wanting to see for a long, long time. Both great established teams, and they've had this Twitter feud for years. FTR only won them a couple of months ago at All Out. That is the thing that is hanging over my head here. And they do quite like to drag out title reigns in AEW, don't they? So I feel that FTR will win it. And because the Bucks are supposed to be, even though they've been acting kind of heelish, they're still supposed to be the faces in this. I think that somewhere down the line, because they're EVPs, if they turn heel fully, they'll just abuse that status on air and say, we're calling the damn show, we get the damn title match, that kind of thing. So lose it now and then go back on themselves somewhere down the line.
Do you think FTR's same as made them?
So I think FTR to retain. Okay, next one. We have the AEW World Championship Tournament Final. It is Hangman Adam Page versus Kenny Omega. And I think this has the potential to be the show stealer of the night, really. So let's see. What do we think?
Easily Omega.
Easily, yeah. Without hesitation, yeah, straight away.
It's going to be like a 6-star match. They're going to go the distance nearly, and Omega's going to take it at the last second.
Yeah.
They're going to make Hangman look good, but it's still going to be Omega.
Something which I think is going to happen is that we are going to see the rise and ascension of Kenny Omega. I think they're going to have to look at the fact that, look, he can't just want to help other people. He is going to be the face of AEW, and he should be. And they need to learn that, look, WWE do it for a reason, because that's just how the business works. You need that one guy who is your guy. And even if you fuck up or you think that, okay, we've got something better, it's still like, no, you have your constant. And Kenny Omega is that constant. And I think he needs to show that he can be that 5-6-star guy for AEW. And so I think, yeah, Kenny Omega is the way to go.
For this, because they've been, I'm looking forward to this match immensely. It's great, feud, because of former tag team champions, etc. But because they've kind of been hinting, with the entrances that Omega's been doing, the return of the cleaner, that kind of thing, the return to that status as being the guy, I think, you're not going to want to try and waste the build-up like that. So I think it's going to be Kenny Omega to win it, and we'll get to see more of that persona emerge as time goes by. And finally, we have the main event, for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Jon Moxley defending the title against Eddie Kingston in an I Quit match. What do we think, fellas?
I flip-flopped this one quite a few times, because while I kind of think that Moxley entered Drew McIntyre recently off the WWE Championship. It was at the time where the reign was kind of coming to an end anyway. I think Moxley's at that time now. Weirdly, they won the belts around the same time too, like not too far off each other. Beginning part of the year, as in Moxley and McIntyre. That is. I just don't see them skyrocketing Kingston so quickly. But the I Quit stipulation is interesting because Moxley obviously is interested in these hardcore kind of spot stipulations, so it would again seem to favour him. But can Kingston, with the help of obviously we've got a Lucha brother, I think one's injured, isn't he? And he's got
the Lucha Brother and the Butcher and the Blade.
Butcher and Blade. It's like, could that sway things? But because I'm in doubt, I'm just going to go for a Moxley retention. As boring as it kind of is, I just think mainly because it's his match and because Eddie Kingston is still quite new, and the fact they looked past people that could have, like MJF for instance, who would have been a perfect fit for that belt, and then to go to Eddie Kingston, who, while fantastic, don't get me wrong, I think that would be a bit of a mistake. So I'm gonna go for Jon Moxley retention. I'm
gonna go for Eddie Kingston because I have faith in Kingston that he's finally going to win a world title. Because it's been years since he's had any big title opportunity, I'd argue.
Yeah.
And the more you look at it, the more you realise all 3 of their male title holders, well, technically 4, are former WWE title holders. Weirdly enough.
But does that mean that they're going to just put the belt on anyone who's not WWE now, just because? I'm just playing devil advocate here, Josh. It's been like, and I get that we've said that other predictions, but it's like, does that just mean that just because Eddie Kingston's not from the WWE, that he automatically gets a belt? Is that enough? Or?
No, but I feel as though it's about time that they gave it to someone. I think Eddie Kingston is that person that should have it. And weirdly enough, all 4 of the title holders are holding titles within the cards they held them before. Obviously, FDR Tag Team, Cody Rhodes mid-card, and Moxley World Title. But yeah, I think Kingston's going to take this one purely because obviously he's got the faction behind him, and he's like genuinely tough. Like he's a genuine badass.
I agree with Porter about Eddie Kingston being a badass, and it's his time, to really get some recognition for his career and everything. And up until a couple of days ago, I was for Kingston to win it. Here's what swayed me. It has been announced that on Dynamite this week, we will hear, finally, after months of silence, we will hear from Pac. And Pac, as you know, at the beginning of the year, had started doing this thing with the Lucha Bros.
Yeah.
And whilst he's been away, they've now obviously signed up with Butcher and the Blade along with Eddie Kingston. So I think there may be some sort of rift here for the future between Kingston and Pac. And because now I thought I had a chance to think about it, if Kenny Omega wins the tournament, I would quite like to see the rematch of Omega and Moxley. So, for those factors there that I've just pointed out, as much as I'd love to see Eddie Kingston, eventually win a championship, I just feel right now, John Moxley to retain.
They've done a bit of a duddery here. They haven't announced that he'd be there though, which is interesting. They've announced that he just...
No, the announcement will hear from him. So whether he'll be there or whether it'll be like a video thing is something else entirely. But it's just, I'm just putting pieces together.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. But that seems like we've got some decent predictions there. Obviously, we'd like to, as always, to hear what you guys think. Obviously, comment. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, obviously, to our channel for more great content like this. Just an update, we are going to be resuming with the podcast very, very soon. The United Kingdom is about to, or England, sorry, as part of it, is entering a second stay-at-home / lockdown scenario very soon. So we're looking to get you some great new content, including our new listed show, a new episode of that coming, and of course your weekly news shows. And don't forget, big predictions coming up later on in the month, as it is Survivor Series, the best of the best.
Yes.
Do you not find it weird that Mr. Johnson has taken inspiration from WWE Hell in a Cell and decided for another lockdown?
Quite a good line, that. But anyway, don't forget, DKW Demolition continues this Thursday over on the DKW YouTube channel. Until then, I've been Lucas Jackson, joined by Daddy Josh and by Champagne Charlie, and you've been watching The Viewpoint for AEW Full Gear. Until next time, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.